Alright, let's talk about aperture in simple terms. Imagine the camera is your eye and the aperture is the pupil of your eye. Aperture is the size of the opening in your camera's lens. A small aperture like a high f number, such as f16, means that the opening is tiny, nice and small, like squinting your eye. This lets less light into your camera. A large aperture, like a low f number, such as f2, means the opening is wide open, like opening your pupil wide. This allows more light into your camera and hits your sensor. Aperture is measured in what we call f-stops. The closer to zero, this means a larger aperture, like f1.4 or f2, is like having your camera's eye wide open, letting in lots of light. Great for low light situations or when you want a nice blurry background. Larger numbers, this indicates a smaller aperture, such as f11 or f16. This is like squinting your camera's eye, allowing less light to come in. This is useful for bright scenes or when you want everything in your photo to be in focus. So when you see those f numbers like f1.4 or f2 or f16, just remember, smaller the number, bigger the opening, the larger the number, the smaller the opening. Now, when we talk about aperture creatively, it's usually about managing something called the depth of field. The depth of field is about deciding how much of the picture will be in focus. With larger apertures like f1.2 for example, you get a really shallow depth of field. This means that only a small part of the image is sharp, drawing attention to the main subject. The rest of the picture becomes beautifully blurry, making your subject stand out from the frame. Wider apertures are often favored in portrait photography because they make the person stand out from the soft, blurry background. This background blur is commonly referred to as bokeh. Now, on the other hand, if you're into landscape photography or capturing buildings, architecture, you'd prefer a deeper depth of field. This helps keep everything nice and sharp and in focus. In such cases, you would go for a smaller aperture like f8, f11, f16, and so on, so that everything stays in focus. Remember, if you prefer fewer things to be in focus and you want your subject to really stand out from the background, opt for a lower f-stop like f2 or even f1.2. If you want more things in focus, use a higher f-stop like f8, f11, f16, and so on.